So with that, I will introduce you or reintroduce you to Brad Geddes, and he's going to do I know from experience, an incredible job moderating today.
All right. So, well, thank you, David. And we should also thank David for all the work he's done in putting this together, as well as several people not here on the board who just do an amazing amount of work. So that's really, first kudos of the day.
Thank you.
But you're not here right now to listen to me. You're really here to listen to Nancy. So we're gonna start with Amazon shopping. First, we have Nancy who's up. She's been involved in e-commerce for quite a few years. She's currently the Director of Search and Enterprise Services Marketplace Channel at Tenuity. So please welcome Nancy, our virtual claps for everyone, and please share your screen and kick us off for the day.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I also just want to say thank you so much for having me today. This has really just been such an awesome community to get to know. So, David, thank you for inviting me to be a part of it. Really excited to be here. So today I really was thinking about how can I give you the most information in the shortest amount of time and make sure that you're walking away with something that maybe you didn't know, or maybe something that you want to try and test and explore. And so as we think about e-commerce in 2020, we saw e-commerce grow 27.6%, reaching well over $4 trillion. And we are not seeing that slow down in 2020. And I want to make sure that we are looking at Amazon as a part of a larger marketplaces ecosystem. So as mentioned, my name is Nancy McLaughlin, Director of Search and Enterprise Services here at Tenuity. I am very grateful that I have been able to work on both brand and agency side. I've also had incredible experiences working with some of the largest brands in the world, as well as startups that are new to platform, and been able to take brands to acquisition. So very thankful for the career that I've had. If my brain was not so hyperactive, I would absolutely be a ski bum on Mammoth Mountain, and that would be my day to day. But in the meantime, I will stick to doing that on the weekend. And so, as I said, I'm from Tenuity. We manage over $2 billion across the triopoly. However, that's not what I'm most proud of. I'm most proud of our culture and our client retention. We really build strong partnerships with clients to ensure that we're looking across the triopoly to grow their brand. My team specifically focuses on all marketplaces. So we're starting to investigate on platforms like Instacart, Kroger. We have a well-established business on Walmart. And so when you're thinking through some of the principles that we're talking about today, let me know if you have any questions, because a lot of these principles can be translated to these other marketplaces. So last night I thought, let me just pull up my Amazon homepage. Let me take a look at what she is currently looking like. And I had a little giggle to myself, because very clearly my husband and I share a Amazon account. He watches sport on Amazon on Prime Video, and I'm looking for care packages to send to girlfriends. He is potentially buying pizza and I'm buying hummus. And I really thought about, we're putting all these different things in our cart, and really what that kind of goes to continue to show is Amazon as the everything store. And there is no clear aisle on specifically, we're going into the store to buy only bread today. There is this multi-dimensional interaction with Amazon. And so as marketers, we really have to adjust our mindset to thinking like that. We're being influenced, whether it's by Alexa or OTT ads or through the app. And so starting to think about how we access our customers through brand on Amazon is really important. So as I mentioned, Amazon is the everything store. There's no clear aisles here. And so as we continue to think through how we make that work, we have to kind of take in the different pieces. So let's level set a little bit on Amazon as the everything store today. So we now know that over 69% of Americans are shopping online on a regular basis. I don't think the pandemic drastically made something happen that was never going to happen, but it absolutely accelerated. And so we're seeing this acceleration of online shopping adoption. We're also seeing on our data that hasn't dropped off yet. And so we're continuing to see new to brand or new customers shop online and continue to purchase online. What I think is interesting is we're also seeing a shift of total retail sales being purchased online. And then we look at Amazon specifically. Amazon continues to come out with new products. I'm really excited about video and OTT. I think they're doing some really cool stuff with their Amazon Marketing Cloud. And so we're having all these intersections of media, and consumers are becoming less and less exploratory on Amazon when they know what they want. And that's kind of the key piece there, is understanding how targeted and where on the funnel is your consumer. Because what we have been seeing is about 70% of customers are not clicking past the first page. So let's take a couple steps back again. This can be an overwhelming amount of information if you are a brand that is sitting with your product and you're thinking, I just need to get the product from my warehouse into my customers' hands. You know, there is all these different pieces. A lot of competition on Amazon, growing competition on Amazon, depending what category you're on. There are kind of new restrictions and things like that that you have to continue to be aware of. And so you have all these things kind of running through your business analysis. And so I'm going to try and break it down into kind of three main categories. How I like to think about it, and how we at Tenuity like to think about it, is really operations as the base. Then you layer in creative, and advertising is going to drive that traffic to our page and drive in new customers, as well as retain our loyalists. And so in order to have operations, you really need to ensure that we have a smooth flow of shipments, a stable supply chain, and this will help drive growth across your Amazon catalog. We really, as a vendor especially, you need to master the ins and outs of Vendor Central. This includes demand forecasting, competitive intel, chargeback, purchase order management, catalog management, and more. We really did see a shift in how Amazon thinks about this during 2020, and vendors, as well as sellers, but vendors specifically, have had to become more agile. And so when we're thinking about how to do this and the influences of operational and getting to a PO, I like to break it down into this diagram. So we have our indirect factors and our direct factors. When we're looking on the left-hand side of the page, we're seeing the inputs that are going to drive traffic to our detail page. So the detail page is essentially when you're looking at a product, that home page of your product. And so you can drive traffic to ASIN pages through advertising or through organic traffic. Seasonality may impact that, as well as promotions. And so these are all going to be indicators to Amazon's algorithm on understanding the demand for that specific ASIN, as well as that category. Amazon is then going to take into account a number of other factors. So thinking about vendor lead time, thinking about Amazon's own profitability. What Amazon's also going to do is they're going to understand the ecosystem in which your brand plays. So how are you doing relative to other brands and other sales? And then they're going to come out with a PO. And so understanding this system allows you to be able to move quickly if you can influence whether it's a promotion or making sure that you have stock availability. Does that mean that maybe you do a different page setup in terms of variation? And so looking at those individual pieces to help move those different levers to get those larger POs. The other thing that I wanted to talk about today for anyone that is working with a vendor or a vendor themselves is essentially Amazon's direct fulfillment program. So this is something that our operations team has been working very closely with our vendors on. It's very similar to drop shipping. And essentially it lets vendors use EDI to automatically share real-time inventory information with their entire catalog with Amazon. And so if your warehouse is able to do this, I would highly, highly recommend that you think about setting this up so that you have a backstop in terms of inventory. Some quick notes to think about here is Amazon specifically, it's going to show as shipped and sold by Amazon. So we want that. It's going to have that Prime badge if you are able to provide the paperwork, and it has to be consistent. So we can't have an A+ week one week and then a C- the next. Amazon is going to kind of take that into consideration. What this also allows is it increases the number of ASINs. So if there's something that has to be drop shipped, this now provides the ability for those vendors to do so. There's no waiting for POs. You're able to essentially send that directly to the customer. And then, the other benefits of being a vendor on Amazon, whether it's out of stock or hassle-free returns, those are still going to be handled by Amazon. This is still part of your vendor negotiation program. So you're still going to pay a co-op fee and things like that. But this is a great way, if we're thinking about June of last year, when essentially Amazon stopped ordering non-essential items, customers or clients that had direct fulfillment set up definitely benefited at that time when they weren't receiving POs from Amazon. If you are curious about what it takes, if you have a vendor or a vendor client, you can go into your warehouse settings in Vendor Central, and it's pretty straightforward. You can follow the on-screen instructions there. The second piece, the second layer of this is really thinking about creative. I get really excited because I often hear brands tell me that Amazon doesn't allow you to have a brand voice, and Amazon, you have to follow their specific things, and it kills my brand story. And I just don't think that's true. And so when we think about how to build your brand on Amazon, creative is so important. Yes, there's templates, but we're shifting from this demand capture site to really this brand building site. And there's so many ways to do that on Amazon today. So when we're thinking about advertising, there's so many ways to come up with unique creative there, but specifically detail pages. Specifically storefronts. When we're thinking about our store, I really encourage our clients to think about their store as their Amazon website. So you're not going to leave your website untouched for months, and hopefully not untouched for months and months on end. You want to make sure that you're adjusting your store to seasonality, and you're thinking about that too. Something I am really excited about is Amazon posts. I think these are really cool and currently under-leveraged by a lot of Amazon vendors and sellers. So essentially, an Amazon post is a new product for browsing and discovery on Amazon. As of 2020, you can now, essentially July 2020, you can have multiple products in an image or in a post. And so what this looks like is essentially, it looks like our social media threads. And I think we're going to continue to see the adoption of this by Amazon. We're going to continue to see them test where these are being placed and how they're being utilized, both in app and desktop. So this is something to watch. A couple things that we have found really interesting is our shorter caption posts tend to have higher engagement. Now, this is category dependent. If it's nutrition, if it's fashion, we tend to see, or apparel, we tend to see that shorter caption really do much better. A/B testing is really important. We have been testing clients different time of day for posting. We've been seeing different types of posts, product only, lifestyle mixed in, and then thankfully, you can actually edit the post as you go along. So it's not a set it and forget it. You're able to edit almost everything within the post. And then currently it's free. So, why not test it out? And there's no limit to the number of posts you can make. And you're thinking about, in terms of assets, you already have these assets from your social media platforms. Reuse them to create that connected shopper experience on Amazon. This is something that I think we should watch. I think it's something that, Amazon is going to continue to lean into, that lifestyle curation of how to integrate Amazon into your day-to-day. One thing to note here is if your product is out of stock, then the post won't show. And so that's why it's so important that we have the operational base set first. So with Amazon, I know I get a lot of questions around data and how it can sometimes seem like a bit of a black box. And so I want to include what's currently available for posts in terms of understanding the data. And so essentially, this is what the UI looks like. You can see our viewable impressions, you can see engagement and clicks, and then you can start to understand how these posts are operating on Amazon and that engagement there. We have heard that we're going to continue to see sales come through, and there is an effort behind here. What I think is pretty cool too is you can actually click follow on your Amazon, and you can start to understand how many followers you have following your post. And what I think Amazon is going to, here's a hot take, what I think Amazon is going to do is we're going to be able to start to essentially create audiences based off these Amazon posts that we can plug into the DSP. I don't know if they're going to do that, but I can see a pretty quick path to kind of curating somebody that's already a loyalist or interested in the brand and creating this specific audience type within DSP. The third and final piece of kind of this pyramid of how to build your brand on Amazon is advertising. We know this is paid search association. We know how important it is to support the brand with advertising. And so I wanted to give a quick recap on some of the 2020 product updates. So within sponsored product updates, we had product targeting and we had improvements. Why this is important is because we continue to see specific categories grow significantly. All categories are growing significantly on Amazon, but specifically we're seeing apparel. Specifically, we're seeing home health and health, house and health. Wow, need more coffee. Health and household grow as well. And so essentially what we can do here is with product targeting, we can get really specific on how we think about targeting complementary products or targeting that upsell. We had a client that sold neck cream. And so what we did was we specifically targeted perfumes because we thought about, hey, what would it look like if your consumer is spraying perfume and, they're bringing attention to this part. And so we actually tested that. And that was really interesting because it's not necessarily a direct link. And we're starting to get creative about how we think about our consumer relative to shopping on the Amazon platform. Some sponsored brand updates. We have a new ad format for video content. They've continued to expand where they're putting our sponsored brands placements. And so we're seeing those on detail pages. Those used to be those product display ads. And so now we're seeing SBs come in there. Continued custom creative expansion. And then, we are seeing that adoption of new shopper language preferences. And so we're going to continue to see Amazon bring out new ad formats. And it's really important that we are testing and learning and thinking about how to utilize these. Even if it's a small budget, it's so important to be early and fast so that you can understand that initial impact as well as, jump on something before mainstream. We know that Amazon is getting more competitive. We know that those CPCs are rising. And so this is one way that you can continue to move fast for your brand or your client. The thing that I'm most excited about with advertising is video. I think we're all excited about video. I think the stats speak for themselves, but essentially, this new ad format, sponsored brand video, allows retailers to leverage sponsored brands in those placements, but to tap into the power of video and that video content. So this is in line with our SERP, and it is a scrollable ad. And essentially, we're seeing that we have incredibly high engagement on these videos. We're seeing actually consumers watch a large bulk of that video. So a few quick tips here to think about is trying to keep that video really short. So 30 seconds is the max, but if you can bring it down even shorter, that is really where we want to hit. Thinking about optimizing your video for ad format. So these automatically play in line with no sound. So if your key part of your ad is the sound, that's not a good video for our Amazon sponsored brand video ads. The video is also going to be looped. So think about the consumer experience. We advise our clients to have a break in the video after the video before it loops. And then this seems like an obvious one, but know your audience. This is really important. Understand and use the data that you already have to really speak to that audience. What are the questions that they're asking, whether it's on other sites or in Amazon? What are the reviews saying? Is there something that you can address in a video that might be harder to do on a detailed page? So think about who you are talking to when using these videos. And then key takeaways. So I was thinking about key takeaways, and it would be easy for me to, list out some of the things we've spoken today. But what I thought would be even better was to show you how we've actually applied this to a brand. And so when we're thinking about our key takeaways for today, we really need to focus on sound operations. We need to make sure that we have everything in order to grow our business. And so when we partnered with Boldify, they had a multi-level goal. They wanted to reach new audiences. However, they also wanted to scale profitably. Who has heard that before? I want scale and profit. And that is possible, but we have to be strategic about how we do that. And so, like I said, the first step here was making sure that our operations was in a good place. We partnered with the Boldify team to ensure that their products were in stock. We like to say that we walk the store. Essentially, we're understanding where their products are showing up. We're understanding how shoppers are clicking through variations, if they are, or if that needs to be a separate detail page. So this is to help ensure maximum visibility and customer experience. The second thing we did was we did an audit. So I encourage you to do this for your customers or for your brand, is look at their content, look at what they're doing on their detailed pages, and think about that consumer journey on Amazon. So when we're thinking about, what are we doing on our other platforms? Does that make sense for Amazon? Can we reuse some of those assets, or is this a different shopper experience? And in some cases, yes. And for Boldify, we actually pulled a lot of the assets they already had. What we did do is we updated our product detail pages with how-to videos, and that really helped kind of engage that consumer. The next thing we did was advertising. So I spoke about sponsored brand videos. This was part of our testing program, but taking a couple steps back from that, the first thing we did was we essentially restructured their entire advertising campaign, and we did a one-to-one. So this means one ASIN per one campaign. What this allowed us to do is really get specific on testing, also get really specific on bid optimizations. And so understanding how a product was reacting relative to that ad type and that functionality, and then being able to bid up and down. And this sounds like a lot of work, and it was. And so it's really important to have technology to help you scale. So we have in-house technology that allows us to have one-to-one across a large number of ASINs. But what that also allowed us to do is create labels and group together certain tests. And so that's a key takeaway here. The other piece here is, when you bring this all together, we really saw a huge impact for Boldify. So we saw a 3 times more return on ad spend, and we saw impressions go up, just tenfold, 8 million new impressions. And so Boldify continues to grow and continues to really follow best practices to help build their brand on Amazon. And that is it. I know that was fast, and I'm here to answer questions if we don't have time today. I'm also on the panel later, but Brad, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you, Nancy. And we have a couple questions.
Yeah.
So first off, For Amazon posts, you mentioned
Yes.
that if a tagged product associated with the post is out of stock, the post won't show.
Correct.
What if you have 10 products associated with the post and only one is out of stock? Will the post show if the other 9 are in stock and one's not?
We have seen that impacts the whole post, so it won't show.
Okay, so that's one. Two, how are you projecting your Amazon spend for Q3, Q4 when we expect more people to go back into stores?
I actually thought that question was going to go somewhere else. I thought that person was going to ask with Amazon Prime Day being shifted. So, you know, as we're thinking about people going back in stores, what's really interesting is so we're able to look at, through our Amazon DSP, we're able to look at essentially area code targeting and engagement. And we have still seen a lot of adoption on Amazon, and a lot of that new to brand customer is not trailing off. So as we're thinking about Q3, Q4, we're actually holding steady, if not increasing spend. The reason there is when we do our spend projections, we also build in, Amazon is a baby compared to Google, and Amazon advertising is still so new, and they are coming out with products all the time. And so when we consult with our clients, we actually build in a test budget. Now, I know if you're a client, you're like, oh, I hate the word test budget. It doesn't feel, you know, it's a squishy thing. But thinking about, you know, the opportunities that came up last year that maybe we didn't initially plan for, it's really important to at least hold steady on that budget for Q3, Q4. The other piece is we don't know when Prime Day is going to be this year. Typically it's in the summer, but you know, it did just as well in in the middle of November last year. And so Amazon has not given any indication on when they're gonna do that. So I would say hold or increase budgets.
Okay, and the last question before we have to move on. So when in regards to, you can always keep your brand feel and your brand story right going on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Are you seeing the true luxury companies, Gucci, Prada, or things like we sell high-end diamond rings? Are you seeing them move to Amazon yet?
Yeah, that's a great question. And just for a little bit of background, I actually used to work in luxury beauty, so very familiar with the space and some of the, you know, nuances, we'll call them, around brand equity for some of these luxury brands. I think Amazon is trying. So if anyone has downloaded or upgraded their Amazon app recently, you'll see that they have a new luxury store. So they've rebranded a couple. So we have premium beauty, which used to be luxury beauty, which is essentially more high-end, but still mass beauty. And then we have true luxury beauty, and it really looks like a different store. And so I think Amazon is trying. They have brought on some really great brands onto that platform. And they're trying to make it exclusive. So it's invitation only. They're making a big deal. We're seeing a lot of OTT ads supporting that launch. But I still think there is going to be hesitation until luxury brands can see enough data that supports that.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we are out of time. So thank you very much, Nancy. That was much appreciated. Everyone,
thank you so much.
Give a clap to Nancy. Thank her here. Thank her on Twitter, wherever you like to chat with people. And you have, well, we'll see you back for the Q&A. We can get more into things.